Diego Lopes has said there is going to be no more double champions within the UFC, and it is a very, very interesting topic because I think this is moving towards a better future for the sport. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. So there was an interview with Diego Lopes recently, and then a lot of MMA accounts have been posting about it. I just decided, just for the sake of it, this is the first one that I saw. Real Kevin K ended up posting that Diego Lopes said that there would be no more double champions in the UFC. Lopes says if you want another belt, you must vacate, which is why Topuria vacated his title. I know that a lot of people have just been saying, well, what's Diego Lopes know? Diego Lopes could just be making it up. Diego Lopes could just be talking crap about Ilia Topuria. I'm kind of inclined to believe it, just from the demeanor of Dana White lately and just being a little bit more reluctant to give people the second shot. I know we talk about Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev all the time. I love the idea, and I think that it's just been, I hate using this word because it's so overused and unnecessary in culture today, but it's problematic. It's problematic for the UFC. It's problematic for these champions. And you have all of this like horrible mindset from champions now where they'll just all of a sudden get a belt and then, all right, time to get that double champ status. I think it should be saved and reserved for people who have literally cleaned out their divisions. Like somebody who deserves it right now is Alexandre Pantoja. Nobody else deserves it. I know Ilia Topuria was talking about how he has nothing left to do in the featherweight division. He has lots to do, actually. He could give Alexander Volkanovski a rematch, somebody who absolutely does deserve a rematch. You have Movsar Evloev still around. Sorry if you could see that little hair flying around on the foot. But there's so many more matchups still, and even upcoming fighters too. At the very least, you could have 2-3 more fights. If even then, he wanted to just keep the featherweight belt and move up to lightweight, I'd totally be okay with that, as long as it doesn't end up being some sort of Conor McGregor situation where Conor McGregor just refused to defend the featherweight titles forever. He just moved up to lightweight permanently, kept the belt, and just would never defend it so he could be lightweight or featherweight champion and lightweight champion forever. That's not okay. You would honestly need to judge the fighter. We all know that Alexander Volkanovski would have absolutely, if he would have beat Islam Makhachev, he would have defended at lightweight, defended at featherweight, defended at lightweight, defended at featherweight. That's what he said that he wanted to do, and with how active he was as a champion, and with how, I guess, like, he's a guy full of integrity. You could believe Alexander Volkanovski when he says something. I think it actually matters when you have a guy like that trying to challenge because, hey, I'm going to be active in both divisions. I would take him at his word, and I would believe him. But I wouldn't buy that for Ilia Topuria, who still hasn't defended the featherweight title, and all of a sudden, he's gone, right? There are very few fighters that you would trust to do that, okay? Dricus du Plessis might. He might. I don't know. But even then, it's been really respectful. And it's been a fresh breath of fresh air to see Dricus du Plessis talking about, like, yeah, I'd fight Alex Pereira. I'm calling out Alex Pereira. Maybe that fight can be open one day. But then Dricus du Plessis still says, hey, I have Hamzat Chimaev to go through. I have Anthony Hernandez to go through. Whoever else is in the division. He wants to be the greatest middleweight champion. That's so refreshing and so nice to see. I still love the idea of having these double champs. But again, you would need to clean out the division. Alexandre Pantoja. But even then, he would still need to defend against flyweights as well. It's been horrible since introducing this because all of a sudden, we're in like one of the worst eras of champions in the entirety of the histories. But it's not just about what I have to say about this. I did want to take a look at some replies over to the Real Kevin K and just other replies to different accounts to kind of get a gauge on how people are feeling about this, because this has been the talk of the MMA community within the last few days, okay? Kevin just responded to that and said, I sort of do believe him. They told Zhang to stay at 125 if she moved up. I remember hearing something about that. I don't recall what it was. I don't remember if Dana White said it, but regardless, yeah, I can see the UFC doing this because we are, again, in the worst state of champions in the entire history of the UFC. The champions are so entitled. The champions don't want to take on the number one contenders. The champions don't want to defend their belts. And that's why everybody loves Alex Pereira so much. He's taking on the contenders. He'll say yes. And I know that the UFC, like, babied him just a little bit, okay? He got a little bit of a fast track, but who cares? Who cares? He's an active defending champion, not saying no to the UFC. I love it, and this is why a lot of people appreciate him. We need more champions like Alex Pereira. I think if you're going to go for champ status, it should only happen after defeating the top 5 competition in your own division. Otherwise, yeah, vacate so others compete for the belt while you chase another. But even then, that's the problem, man. Like, you have every right to vacate and move up, but at the same time, it just creates, like, such a problem for the UFC because no matter who gets that belt next, well, want to beat Alexander Volkanovski, want to beat Alex Pereira, or, like, whoever was there, right? They're not the true champion. Robert Whittaker is, you know? I'm throwing out random names over there. You get my point? But I do agree with Tony as well in the reply over here saying, that's dumb because within those defenses, new people could join the top 5. That's true, too. I'm recording this before the UFC Seattle card this weekend. What if Anthony Hernandez beats Brendan Allen? All of a sudden, there's a brand new contender there, just comes out of nowhere. This happens all the time. But then again, you have a right to move up into whatever weight you want. So I see both sides when it comes to that. It just leaves the UFC in the title implications in a horrible state. I don't believe this to be true. I think Topuria voluntarily did it because he's not going down again. That's also very true. Also, sorry if you saw some lag on my screen just right now, but that's so true. I could very well see Ilia Topuria doing this along with just wanting to go down as one of the best featherweights of all time. You had the best single 2 wins of all time, knocking out Max Holloway and knocking out Alexander Volkanovski. You can't do better in the featherweight division than that. That surpassed anything that Conor McGregor's done. He is the best featherweight of all time, and I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. But on the other side of the coin, I could also very well see it being the case where the cut is just difficult for him to do. So it could just be a combination of things. Low-key think he's right. Dana doesn't seem too crazy about it these days. Even Pereira's got to get one more before Dana thinks about it. It doesn't just hit like it did when Conor did it. Got to be a mega star for it to make sense or on the verge of being one. Like, this is perfect. If Alex Pereira gets one more title defense, goes up in weight, this would be something that really, really hits and feels ridiculously special. For me personally, for a lot of hardcore fans, if Alexandre Pantoja did it against Merab Dvalishvili, this would feel that way. But I understand because he's not a star, then it wouldn't be like a Conor McGregor going up. So it'd be a little bit of a knockdown, but it's just for specific fighters and specific instances, man. Like when Alexander Volkanovski went up and did it against Islam Makhachev, that was it. That was where it really, really came together, and this felt like a true super fight. This is how it should be. 2 divisions should be on hold at the same time, unfair to the contenders. Very true. Very, very true. Again, with the only exception to this being somebody like Alexander Volkanovski, who you know would defend it, right? Totally had this to say. Look how inactive and bad their champ lineup is right now. Hard to sell their pay-per-view model if one of those guys takes 2 straps. Only one I can see them ever letting try is Alex because of his activity. Yep, that's exactly it. Sorry if you can hear my notification over there. This video has been all over the place, guys. Yeah, Alex fights all of the time. He does the UFC favors, and the UFC could very well return that favor to him as well. So I'm totally okay if Alex Pereira goes up. This makes me happy. It's so good for the sport and longevity. Happy they realized they were destroying themselves by doing that crap. But it's not even the UFC's fault. It's just the fault of all of the fighters becoming more and more entitled. But I understand why the fighters would want to go up in weight, you know? It's just a crappy situation all around, but it's too bad. The champions, as much as I love the sport today, as much as I love how the sport's evolved, there were a lot of better champions back in the day when I started watching UFC. Regardless, let me know what you think all of this down below. Thank you very much for watching. Why don't you check out this video on screen right now? YouTube thinks you'll like this video the best. Thank you so much for being here, everybody, and take care.